Hello guys, and thank you so much for watching today's video. As I said, this is actually the next installment of a series of videos I'm going to make as part of my Celtic Medicine Woman Series. I've actually posted a couple of series of first videos, and in today's video you notice that I'm actually talking in an English accent, in a British accent. I said recently I've actually discovered that I was of British and English accent, whereas my mom has, I basically grew up in America, growing up in Asian culture, just speaking in basically an Asian, basically speaking an Asian language, and my mom has basically eliminated to a little bit of my heritage. But I didn't quite understand what she was talking about because she was actually, she did not know English at all, and she was speaking Vietnamese, and she was trying her best to basically tell me what my heritage was. And I was actually a little bit confused, but she was, and so it was just, I said just a little later into just a little later in life did I find out that I was actually of British descent. Just wee later into my life did I actually find out that I was of British descent, and it was through a couple of British people who actually a couple of my British cousins and relatives back in Great Britain have actually decided to reach out to me when I was actually living in America, and I was actually trying to, basically I was in the midst of a racial struggle because of, I was actually being discriminated against because I had black hair. Tôi đi học bên UGA á, nó có nhiều người nó khi dễ tôi á, tôi bận kỳ tôi đi UGA tôi bận mũ á. Nó có nhiều người nó khi dễ tôi tại nó tưởng là tôi là người Tàu á, tại cái cặp mắt của tôi là hồi xưa mấy năm cặp mắt của tôi mắc một mí trong cặp mắt nó tưởng tôi là người Tàu, nó khi dễ tại nó tưởng tôi là người Tàu thì nó khi dễ, nhưng mà họ trên high school tôi đi cái mắt của tôi xanh rất là bình thường, nhưng mà dù tôi đi đại học cho mấy năm á, tôi mất một mí trong mắt của tôi thì tôi cũng có nhiều bạn của tôi trên tôi học trên UJ, mấy bạn tôi nó phản bội tôi với nó phản bội tôi thì tôi học trên UJ á, nó phản bội tôi, nhưng mà người ta nó tưởng tôi là Tàu, nhưng mà thực sự tôi là Việt Nam. Nhưng mà thực sự tôi là Việt Nam, nhưng mà tôi cũng có gia đình nó cũng Tàu, tôi cũng có gia đình, trong gia đình tôi là cũng người Tàu, có gia đình của tôi là nó cũng người Tàu, nó cũng lai Tàu. At any which rate, I've said I basically grew up in America. I said speaking in grew up in America and grew up in Asian culture, and so there was basically a lot of like people just like having their separate communities, and so I was actually profiled as an Asian or Chinese because of my black hair. There was because I actually covered my hair for a period of time. I just basically wore like a hoodie cap. I just basically wore like a hoodie cap over myself, and so a lot of people were discriminating against me. But there was a period in my life where I actually attempted to try to speak in an English or British accent, and just, because I remembered looking at myself and thinking, wow, I slightly look like British, but I'm not too sure if I was or not. And it was just quite of like a little plaything, just for fun. But I just thought I was Vietnamese anyway. Until a little later in life, I actually discovered I was British. So in this video, I said basically this video is all for all the British peoples that are out there, and even all the British people who have reached out to me. And so this video is for you. Basically, I said at this point in time, I just basically want to talk about what is basically important to all the British peoples. I said what makes, I said I'm going to basically talk about at this point in time. It doesn't matter where you are. You might be actually discovering or recently discovering that you're actually of British descent, or it could be basically you're drifting away from your British heritage because there's someone who's actually trying to pull you away from being British. There's actually someone who's trying to pull you away from being British, or you've actually recently discovering that you're British. It doesn't matter where you are. In my case, I've actually discovered that I was British. But if you're drifting away from being British, or if you're actually recently discovering you're British, I said it doesn't matter where you are in parts of the world. It doesn't matter where you are. I'm going to basically tell you, as my Celtic Medicine Woman Series, as I said, I am a Celtic woman. I am a Celtic woman. I am along the class lines of a druid, or you can say the descendant line of Merlin. I am actually a descendant line of Merlin, as I've said. I said I am a descendant, so I'm basically a descendant line of Merlin. And so this video is actually part of my Celtic series, in my Islamic series. So I'm going to talk about exactly what empowers the British peoples as a nation. And so if you're British, or if you're actually recently discovering you're British, please watch this video and try to get as much as you can out of it. I said watch this video and try to get as much as you can out of it. So I said the first thing that really empowers the British peoples as a nation, and I said it doesn't matter if you're actually recently discovering you're British or if you're drifting away from your British heritage. I'm going to talk about what exactly empowers its British people. I'm going to tell you basically what empowers British people. So the first thing that empowers the British people is obviously the British flag. The British flag is what empowers the British people. Oftentimes if you watch media, and I said recently there has been a bout of British people that has come out for a couple of British YouTubers, a couple of British people media that has come out. What you'll notice is that what really empowers its British people is the British flag. If you watch oftentimes you'll notice the British people carrying British flags. British flags is what empowers its British peoples. I said the British flags empowers its British peoples. If you watched, oftentimes in sports, if you watch the sports, you'll find a lot of British people carrying British flags. I said British flags empowers its people. So, I said, if you're going to carry the British flag, go ahead and carry the British flag. I said the British flag is what empowers its people. The second thing that I'd like to talk about that really empowers the British people is the flower wreath. Yes, that's right. I mean, so it could be, I said I'm just going to talk about this a second. The second thing that actually empowers the British people, guys, is, I said the second thing I said that really empowers the British people is the flower wreath. So the flower wreath here is obviously a wreath here that really empowers its British people. And so I said the flower wreath is what empowers its British people. And if you look around, you'll notice that a lot of people wear oftentimes a flower wreath around them. I said the flower wreath, I said, empowers its British people. In other words, for those of Celtic descent or Celtic heritage, the flower wreath is what empowers its people. And oftentimes, if you look in Celtic tradition and British tradition, you'll oftentimes find that a lot of festivities that actually happen in Great Britain, oftentimes people wearing flower wreaths. Flower wreaths is what empowers its native peoples as a nation, as a nation. So I said this is actually one of the things that empowers its British people. So I'm just going to wow, I look really nice, don't I? Like, I'm just like looking at myself. So go ahead and wear go ahead and wear a flower wreath around you. For the native British peoples, for the native British peoples, the flower wreath is what empowers its British people. As well as the British flag. I'm not going to pull up the British flag, but you get what I'm saying. I said the third thing that empowers its British people is the English accent. For those who are actually either drifting away from their British heritage, oftentimes if you're drifting away from your British heritage, you might be tempted to try to pick up on other accents besides the British accent, and that does happen. Or those who are pressured into talking British. I said, oftentimes those who are pressured into talking British, maybe something has happened to you and you're actually trying to find a solution, and oftentimes you might end up leading to finding the fact of your British heritage, because you're actually trying to basically, finding a solution to your problems. And so the best thing that you can do is just literally talk in a English accent. Whatever the case is, I said the British accent, the British accent is what empowers the British people. So if you are a British person, go ahead and talk in an English accent. Your English accent is what empowers you. And that's the third thing that I'm going to talk about in this video that really empowers its native British people. I said I grew up, when I was younger, basically in America. I was thinking that I was thinking that I was actually of Asian descent, and I went through the whole racial profiling process that basically happened in America. Also during the 1960s movement, and obviously I went through a bullying phase. I went through a phase in my life where I just sort of kind of got away from the world for a while and was to myself for the most part. And so I knew I actually started wearing a cap on, and so anyone who knew me, the only thing that they knew was my black hair when I was walking in school. And so I was actually racial profiled as a Chinese, and so I was kicked out of a lot of places and stuff like that. And it makes a lot of sense because people thought I was Asian, and all this. And I basically grew up with Vietnamese culture. I said it wasn't. I said until just about a little later in life, I thought to myself, had it continued down this pathway, this roadway, with my hair covered in my face, I knew that one day I'm going to be in trouble. Someone's going to try to pull me over. Someone's going to try to get me. And I knew that was going to do it. So I had to fight for my life. And so over time, gradually, for some reason, I've had like a couple of British people who has actually reached out to me, and I actually ran to a couple of folks, and the first thing when I noticed them during my phase when I was all to myself and covered myself, I actually lost a crease in my eye for a period of my life, and so I was discriminated as a Chinese, and I was very insecure about the loss and the crease in my eye. I grew up with just creases in my eyes, and in Asian culture, having a crease is a big thing amongst the Asian community. You know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. As I said, and so basically, I started watching all these. I started late in life. I actually ran into, in the midst of the racial struggle that was happening in America. And you guys know what we're talking about. If you're talking about Martin Luther King and all that stuff happening here, civil rights movement. And so I thought I was Asian, and Asians were being discriminated as well as Mexicans and Mexicanos, just all in Asians of worlds being discriminated. I started running into a lot of British YouTubers, and the first thing that I noticed about them is not how we look similar. I didn't actually compare myself to a British person. I just thought, but when I actually ran to the videos, the first thing that really clicked out to me was that I instantly clicked with what they're talking about. They're starting to talk about this and that, and they do sort of kind of like a little blog about what happens in their lives and what they do on the daily basis. And I'm watching their videos, and I've noticed a slight camaraderie between these British people that I have ran into. And I've noticed, I said we have a couple of things that are quite similar to each other. And I instantly understood what they're talking about, and they started blogging, and I instantly clicked with them. There's an instant camaraderie. As well as some of the British music that came out. I just really related to the British music. And then later on, I started comparing myself to their looks. And I've noticed, I started comparing myself to their looks. And I started noticing that we look slightly similar. We look kind of similar. I just said we look slightly similar. And so that just basically was the steps that I took to finding out of my British heritage. And here I am doing this activism, civil rights movement, to also humanitarian rights as a British person here in America. So I'm actually doing sort of kind of a civil rights project here in America in order to address the discrimination that was happening here, because I was a victim of discrimination here as well. I knew what happened because I was also a target as well. But over time, I said I was a target as well. And so that is my video today, guys, on a message on what exactly empowers the British people. And I said, for all the British peoples out there, for the British people who's watching my video, or those who are recently discovering that they are of British descent, or those who are slightly drifting away and want words of encouragement, I said I hope you watch this video. This video is for you. I am a Celtic woman, as I said, descendant line of Druid, of Merlin himself. Also King Arthur of the King Arthur table. So please watch this video. I said please watch this video. I said, and watch my video on what exactly empowers the British people. And I've actually discovered my Celtic British descent, and I said that is just amazing. I was just so excited. I says that's just like, I mean, I thought all this time people just keep on telling me in America, you're a second-class citizen. You're a second-class citizen. So basically they're all telling me that you're a second-class citizen in America because you got black hair and I'm a Republican. Okay, you get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying. That's basically what's happening here in America to me. And so I've actually recently discovered that I was of British descent. And I said, and so just connecting to my British roots, and I'm reaching out to all of the British peoples out there, who are out there, guys, who's recently discovering or drifting away. Please watch this video to basically and watch my video on what really empowers you as a British peoples and a British nation. And I said, if you feel as if you're British, I said this video I basically reveal what really empowers the British people. And thank you guys so much for watching this video series of Celtic Medicine Woman. Thank you so much. Thank you.